The holidays are a most joyful time of the year, but they can also be a bit stressful. This morning, cardiologist Dr. Shoba is here with some wonderful wisdom when it comes to your heart health during the holidays. How you doing, Dr. Shoba?
Good morning. How are you?
I am good. I'm good. We got some ground to cover. Let's get started because the holidays for some folks filled with stress, and stress, as we've talked about on here before, not good for you.
That's true. And you know, we were just talking about it. It's not just heart health, it's just overall health, mental health, as well as infections. You know, you need to be worried about that as well.
And let's talk about some of the choices. We need to make wise choices during the holidays, don't we?
That's right. You know, Miles from Moe's was saying it correctly. You know, there's a wide variety of foods out there, and especially if you have sugar diabetes or high blood pressure, previous heart trouble or stroke, you got to be extra careful. When you go to parties or if you eat at home, fill yourself, your plate first with the salads and the green leafy vegetables, and then leave the last serving for the sweets and the carbs rather than the other way around. And if you starve and binge, what happens is you end up going for the sweets first. So it's good to fill yourself with the healthy proteins, the healthy vegetables, make that the larger portion of your plate. And I think, you know, it's important to enjoy what you eat.
Right.
But, you know, eat small portions, be reasonable, and then don't stress over what you've eaten.
Right.
Because the stress itself will make your adrenaline go up, your cortisol go up, you'll be miserable around people. You know, you don't want to be, you don't want to suffer at the party just because of what you've eaten.
Right. And you need to manage, you were talking about managing stress. You know, I think stress is attached to gift giving and wanting to make sure that others are having a great experience. Manage that and keep it in perspective.
That's correct. You know, gift giving can be so stressful. You said it so well. You know, I think, you know, it needs to be a pleasurable experience for you as well. You know, stay within your limits. You don't have to go to every party that you're invited to if you don't think you can make it.
Right.
You know, just learn to say no. Learn your limits. And you know, around the holidays, be careful not to bring up conversations that are controversial that can cause stress, because that will really ruin the holiday table experience. So stay away from stressful conversations if possible.
Talk about happy things.
Talk about happy things. Exactly. So well said.
Keep some joy in your life.
Yes.
And also, you know, we're having to deal, a lot of folks are going to be traveling. That can lend to stress, especially in cold weather. That can add another level that your body's having to deal with, especially in cold weather.
That cold weather, you know, cold weather can cause constriction in your blood vessels, and that brings its own set of problems. And you're not used to working out in cold weather over the years, so, you know, you need to be cautious, especially when you're outside in the cold weather.
Right. Make sure, we got a few seconds left here, get plenty of sleep, get some exercise, and just make sure you're socializing and keeping things light. That's
right, and less alcohol.
Less alcohol.
Less alcohol, less salt. Be careful with that.
All right, Dr. Shoba, great words of wisdom. Thank you so much.
Thank you
for being here. Folks, if you want to find out more about everything we talked about today, go to heart.org. And we'll be back with more